we discuss about IE value or IP value, and now we are discussing about a concept that is called as electronegativity. See, this concept is really important in order to study certain chemical properties. Let us check the definition first. Electronegativity is tendency of an atom to acquire electron cloud or to snatch out or to attract electron cloud in bonding condition from other atom. I am revising. Electronegativity is tendency of an atom to acquire electron in bonding condition. Let me explain clearly. Here, say for example, we are discussing about molecule that is HF, that is hydrogen fluoride. Here hydrogen is having electronic configuration as 1s1, whereas fluorine is having electronic configuration as 1s2, 2s2, 2px2, 2py2, 2pz1. So there is clear cut overlap that hydrogen is having 1 electron short and fluorine is having 1 electron short. Either hydrogen can donate that electron to get 2pz2, whereas hydrogen will acquire 0 electron status, or fluorine can donate this electron to hydrogen, that hydrogen will acquire 1s2, whereas this will lose out electron, but by losing out only 1 electron, the octet will not complete here. So this tendency is not possible. So another tendency is possible that fluorine will try to acquire this electron, but if fluorine acquiring this electron, then hydrogen will get less number of electron, that is 0 actually. So hydrogen will not allow to do this. So they are going to share out 1 electron each, and therefore by sharing out we are getting bond. So this way we are getting bond here between hydrogen and fluorine. In dash structure I should show this. In dot structure I should show something like this, that this is electron of hydrogen, this is electron of fluorine, whereas these two electrons, so 2s, 2px2, 2py2 and 2pz1 here. So there is sharing, you can check out this way. So at one incident fluorine is getting all 8 electrons, in another incident hydrogen is getting all 2 electrons. So this way they are going to share. But now there is battle for supremacy. What is that battle for supremacy? On acquiring share, hydrogen will try to pull out electron from fluorine, whereas fluorine will try to attract electron from hydrogen to greater extent. Now fluorine wants 100% electron to fluorine, whereas hydrogen wants 100% electron to hydrogen, and as a result there is pulling or tug over like situation, that hydrogen and fluorine both are attracting the bonding electron. So these are the bonding electron. Hydrogen is not claiming over these electrons. Hydrogen is claiming over only the bonding electron, and this type of tendency to acquire bonding electron pair from bonding condition is called as electronegativity. Keep in mind, one can't measure electronegativity. Why? Because it is a tendency. It is not that we can measure the energy liberated or energy required like that, and so we are not able to measure tendency, but there are certain scales developed. For example, fluorine is considered as highest electronegative element, and yes, it is true. So fluorine is given number as 4, and on comparative to fluorine, the rest of elements electronegativity values were attached. Now here hydrogen is getting electronegativity as 1.6, whereas fluorine is having electronegativity 4. Now keep in mind the concept, the more electronegative value, the more tendency to attract electron. Now here, as fluorine is having value 4 and hydrogen is having value 1.6, fluorine will try to pull out electron cloud more towards fluorine, and hydrogen will get less. As a result, fluorine is getting small negative charge, as we discussed in earlier lectures also, that this is later in Greek language we are calling this is delta, small delta. So this is delta negative. Fluorine is getting delta negative charge, whereas hydrogen is getting delta positive charge. So this way HF molecule is there. This is polar molecule. Why polar molecule? Because fluorine is developed a small negative charge, so negative pole. Hydrogen develops small positive charge, so positive pole, whereas electron practically is spending more time over fluorine and less time over hydrogen, and that's why fluorine get develop smaller negative charge, and as hydrogen is exposed, it is developed smaller positive charge. So this way electronegativity can be explained. Now electronegativity is tendency. Now we are discussing trend in electronegativity. No doubt electronegativity is tendency, but still in periodic table it can be decrease or increase. That how we have to discuss. Now you are aware of ionization energy or ionization potential. As IP value decreases, electronegativity also decreases. As IP value increases, electronegativity also increases. That means what I should say, that IP value is directly proportional to electronegativity, or electronegativity is directly proportional to IP value. As IP value decreases, electronegativity decreases. IP value increases, electronegativity also increases. You are aware that one of the important factor of IP value, that is atomic size. As atomic size decreases, IP value increases. So IP value and atomic size, they are inversely proportional, but IP value and electronegativity are directly proportional. Now here you can check out that there must be periodic table in front of you. I am not drawing here now periodic table. I am just drawing here a smaller box. Rather, in order to get certain ideas, I will keep this box over here. You can check out. This way. So this is as we move down the group, and this is as we move across the period. You are aware, as we move down the group, atomic size increases, IP value decreases. As IP value decreases, electronegativity value also decreases. As we move across the period, that is from left to right, IP value increases, and therefore electronegativity also increases. So which should be the most electronegative element in periodic table? You can check out, because here I am not considering this last group. You are aware that last group we are calling as zero group. It is not there in periodic property, and so we are not considering that, whereas this row we are not considering. So which should be towards rightmost side of periodic table? IP value will be maximum, and electronegativity also maximum. As we move down the group, no doubt this entire group is having more electronegativity, but as we move down the group, electronegativity decreases, and therefore this element, that is the fluorine, is most electronegative element in periodic table. Same way in first group and last corner, last row we are not considering, seventh row we are not considering, so this is sixth period or sixth row. This element is cesium. This is the least electronegative element in periodic table. So highest electronegativity is shown towards rightmost side, top of the part. Minimum electronegativity is shown towards leftmost side and towards bottom. So cesium fluoride should show highest polarity. polarity means what? Fluorine is attracting electron cloud maximum towards this, whereas cesium will not able to attract that back because cesium is having very less electronegativity. We can consider this something that cricket match between Bermuda and India. What is the winning probability for India? Obviously very high, something like that. Fluorine is playing with cesium. Cesium is having minimum electronegativity in entire periodic table, means entire set of element, whereas fluorine is having maximum electronegativity. So it is not at all, or it should not at all possible that fluorine is losing electron to cesium, but cesium is losing electron to fluorine is the maximum chance. But keep in mind, this electron transfer is there just for 95%. I am saying just for, because after all this data, this is not to 100% or even 99 point something percent. Why this is around 95%? Because the moment cesium is losing out electron to fluorine, it acquired positive charge, and then it will try to back the negative charge, that is electron, towards itself. So first it is trying to donating, and then immediately it will try to attract because it is developing positive charge. This is called as Fajans rule, and on basis of Fajans rule we are getting this type of back possibility. And so we are now, instead of saying word ionic bond, because what is the basic principle of ionic bond or electrovalent bond? There we consider that electron is transferred from one element to another element. That was basic idea in that time. But now with the data of electronegativity, it is clear that maximum transfer should be there between cesium and fluorine, but that is also not to 100%, that is just to 95%. I am using word just because it should be 100% but not. So if cesium fluoride is not showing 100% transfer, then why sodium chloride should show highest? It is not possible. So no doubt in earlier discussion we discussed that sodium chloride is ionic compound, but now we have to change the word. We are saying that that style of compound, that is whether ionic or covalent, is covalent in nature only. The percentage of ionic characters are important. So here that percentage of ionic character is calculated, that is, this is 95% ionic character. Getting idea? And so now you can change the concept that when we are calling any compound as ionic compound, we should keep in mind if 50% plus ionic character is there, then we are calling that as ionic compound. If less than 50% ionic character is there, we are calling that as covalent compound only, but showing ionic character. Getting idea? So this is all possible because of this electronegativity data. Now you are aware, in case of electronegativity, what is the trend in periodic table? No doubt, as screening effect, you are aware of now screening effect. Screening effect is impacting on atomic size, ionization potential. Same way it is having impact on electronegativity, because as screening effect increases, atomic size is not decreases as per the expectation. Therefore IP value is also not increases as per the expectation, and therefore electronegativity will also not increase as per the expectation. Getting idea? So apart from atomic size, other factors are important. They are screening effect, and then we are getting changes. Now here we finish the discussion about electronegativity. So in periodic property we discussed three concepts till today. The first part, that is atomic size. Second part, that is ionization potential or ionization energy. Third part, that is electronegativity. These three concepts are really important in order to study chemistry in detail, because continuously we are getting references of this part, and so try to by heart and try to understand, rather by heart you should understand the concept, the trend, and then the chemistry will be easy. Now next chemical property we are discussing here, that is electron affinity. Now electron affinity is defined as, okay, before discussing electron affinity, I must warn you that this is bit confusing factor. It is confusing with ionization potential and it is confusing with electronegativity. Both way it is confusing because the definition is exactly reverse that of ionization energy. And many times we are considering electronegativity and this electron affinity as same, but no, they are different. We are discussing out. The first thing, define electron affinity. Before defining electron affinity, I must define again ionization potential or ionization energy. Let us check out. It is minimum energy required to remove or snatch out most loosely bound electron from an isolated gaseous atom. I am revising. It is minimum energy required to remove or snatch out most loosely bound electron from an isolated gaseous atom. Alright, now I am putting here a definition of electron affinity. First, ionization potential, electron affinity. What we discuss ionization potential, it is minimum energy required. Here it is the energy released. Say changes I am giving. Here energy required, here energy released. To snatch out most loosely bound electron. No, here we have to add electron. So again it is energy release when an extra electron is added. In ionization potential we are removing electron. In electron affinity we are adding out electron. So it is energy release when extra electron, what is meaning of extra electron? Suppose chlorine is there, it is also already having 17 electron. We are adding out 1 electron to that. So that's why we are calling that as an extra electron. So extra electron is added in, rest of the definition is same, that is isolated gaseous atom. I am revising now. Now we are removing out this definition of IP value, only now focus on ionization, electron affinity. Let us check. It is energy released when an extra electron is added in isolated gaseous atom. That is called as that is called as electron affinity. Getting idea? Now in case of chlorine, it is required electron. We are discussed in case of chlorine or fluorine, they are electron deficient and so they required electron. The electron is added, then energy is evolved, and that's why we are getting stability in bond. So that energy is required here. So that is called as electron affinity. Now let us check out. It is somewhat similar behavior having with concept of electronegativity, but minor differences are there. Number one, electron deficiency. Electronegativity is tendency of an atom, whereas this is energy evolve. So I can measure energy evolve, but I can't measure tendency. So this is the more accurate one. Yes. Number two, in case of electronegativity, we are defining again, try to listen. It is tendency of atom to acquire electron cloud in bonding condition. So in case of electronegativity, bonding condition is essential, whereas try to recollect definition of electron affinity. It is energy evolve when an extra electron is added in isolated gaseous atom. So here atom is isolated, that means not in bonding condition, and it is gaseous. Getting idea? So electronegativity is measured in bonding condition, whereas electron affinity is measured in isolated condition, not in bonding condition. So these two are major differences. Alright, so here we are stopping out discussion on basis of these fundamental properties. So we are aware fundamental, we discuss atomic size, then we discuss ionization energy, electronegativity and electron affinity. Then we discuss screening effect, and now we are discussing about certain properties of elements. Now we are discussing about metallic character and non-metallic character. Say, when in early childhood, students or rather children are aware that there is black and there is white. The grey shade is not possibly known for children. Even in many Hindi movies, you may observe there is a hero and there is a villain. Hero very good, villain very bad. I hope that in other movies also many times this is possible. Very few movies are there, they are showing the good side of villain also. But many movies are in focus that there is good side of hero and bad side of villain. Villain is bad only or worst rather, hero is good. So like that in early childhood, that means when we are there in second standard, third standard, we are aware that there are metals and there are non-metals. But now as you are grown up, you should aware that there is metallic characters and non-metallic characters. Getting the concept? I am revising. I am not saying there are metals and there are non-metals. What word I am using? Metallic characters and non-metallic characters. So generally on observing different metals and non-metals, we discuss certain characters. Let us check out. First metallic character, that metals are in solid state at room temperature. Now room temperature is something different in every nation. For example, in case of Australia, certain parts of Australia they are considering 19.2 degree as room temperature. In India, we are considering 25 degrees Celsius as room temperature. So anyway, but room temperature is positive. Don't tell me what will be the room temperature in Canada or in Russia, I don't know. But in case of India, we are considering room temperature as 25 degrees Celsius. So most of the metals are in solid state, metallic character is solid state at room temperature. Getting idea? Whereas non-metallic character is solid or gaseous state at room temperature. Obviously, when I am talking, there are exceptions also. In case of solid state concept, you are aware mercury is metal which is in liquid state at room temperature. Gallium is name of another metal that is also in liquid state at room temperature. In case of non-metal, there is only one non-metal is in liquid state at room temperature, that is bromine. But under pressure, it is in liquid state. Whereas all other non-metals are either in solid state or in gaseous state. Whereas none of the metal is in gaseous state at room temperature. Getting first difference? Now, important character. Metals are having tendency to lose electron and form positive ion. Say there is sodium. You are aware that there are 11 protons and 11 electrons. Net charge is 0. But when it is coming in front of chlorine, what will happen? It will lose that extra electron and get their negative charge as 10. And so it will lose its atomic nature and get develop positive ion, because now net charge is plus 11 minus 10, that will be plus 1. And so this way sodium is converted into sodium ion. So this way it is giving plus 1 charge. Now tendency to lose electron and form positive ion is considered as metallic character. what happened to chlorine over here? Suppose chlorine is there, it is having 17 protons and 17 electrons. Net charge is 0. But whatever the electron is donated by sodium, that will be accepted by chlorine. And now instead of minus 17, it will have minus 18 charge. So plus 17 in the case of chlorine, say Cl is having 17 protons, as atomic number is 17, and 17 electron. So net charge plus 17 minus 17 is 0. Now whatever the electron is donated by sodium, that is accepted by chlorine, and therefore net number of electrons of chlorine will be minus 18. So plus 17 minus 18, that will give me minus 1 charge. This is chloride ion. We discuss all this in chemical bonding part, but here it is important again, so I am showing. So what is tendency of sodium to form positive ion? By losing out electron, whereas tendency of chlorine is to form negative ion by accepting electron. So this is non-metallic character. So what is metallic character? Tendency to acquire, tendency to donate electron and form positive ion. What is non-metallic character? Tendency to acquire electron and form negative ion. So this is important character. Now metals are having high melting and boiling point. So what is metallic character? Having high melting and boiling point, that is metallic character. Whereas non-metallic character is they are having very low melting and boiling point. Many non-metals are having such a less boiling point that at room temperature they exist in gaseous state, like hydrogen, oxygen, nitrogen. These all are non-metals and they are showing very low boiling point. So at room temperature they exist in gaseous state. This is general. Now if you are going in detail, you will get something contradictory data. For example, very high melting point is shown by carbon, then boron. Say carbon is in form of diamond. We are calling that as an allotrope. Allotrope means what? Chemical formula is same. Say for example, suppose carbon is there. I am saying chemically it is carbon, but practically it is having various forms. Say for example, it can be in form of graphite, it can be in form of diamond. So graphite, diamond, then carbon black, then one of the allotrope that is called as fullerene. So like that, various allotropes of this carbon that is possible. Here I am talking of diamond. This allotrope is having very high melting point, that is for carbon. Same way for boron also very high melting point is there. Both are non-metals and still possessing very high melting point. Whereas so many metals are there, they are showing very low melting point. Say for example, in first group, now you are aware, first group, hydrogen is in gaseous state, but lithium, next element, that is in solid state. So from lithium to cesium, melting point decreases constantly. Sodium melts at 80 degrees Celsius. So it is considerably low melting point. Even sulfur melts at 119.2 degrees Celsius. Sulfur is considered as non-metal. So non-metal is having melting point at 119.2 degrees Celsius, where sodium being metal is having melting point at 80 degrees Celsius. From sodium onwards, melting point decreases and cesium melts at something temperature that is 26 point something degrees or 28 point 2 degrees Celsius. So in India, room temperature is 25, therefore we are considering cesium is in solid state. But at 28.2 degrees Celsius it will melt. That means cesium is having very low melting point. Mercury obviously, but remaining all these first A group element, they are also having very low melting point, and so this data is somewhat confusing. But here the answer is that it is based on crystal structure also. Usually these alkali metals are showing a crystal structure where empty space is more, and that's why they are having very low densities, they are having very less melting point as compared to others. Their atomic size is important because their atomic size, say in particular every period, these alkali metals are having highest atomic size in the period, and therefore their crystal structure is something different, which is showing them soft nature, which is showing them as a very low melting point nature. So when I am talking of melting point, what we consider usually for metals, melting point is higher, whereas for non-metal melting point is lower. I have given example like sodium is metal but still low melting point, whereas diamond and boron non-metal but having high melting point. But if you ignore that exception, then overall, say for example tungsten metal having very high melting point, iron and all other metals, you are aware. So generally we are saying metals are having very high melting point and non-metals are having very or considerably low melting point. Now densities. Density is what? Mass upon volume. Metals are having usually higher densities, whereas non-metals are having lower densities. And so one of the important factor here, that density, usually metals are metallic character is higher density, non-metallic character as lower density. Now another important character, that is conductivity. Both way, electrical conductivity and thermal. Thermal means heat. So heat conductivity. Metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. If you observe various metals, they are peculiar about their nature, that carrying electricity. No doubt electrical conductivity is not same in all metals, but usually as compared to non-metals, metals are having very high electrical conductivity as well as thermal conductivity. Thermal means heat transfer. Whereas non-metals, with fewer exceptions, are poor conductor of heat and electricity. Fewer exception again carbon. Why? Because carbon, the allotrope of carbon is graphite. That graphite is showing very good conductivity. Try to recollect when we discuss, we have not yet discussed, but you are aware that in case of dry cell, that is what we are using, pencil cell or like that, there is a carbon rod, that is graphite rod only. If you observe electrolysis process, then in various electrolytic process we are using graphite rod as electrical conductor or electrode, and so certain allotropes are showing good electrical conductivity, but usually non-metals are poor conductor of heat as well as electricity. We are using them many times as an insulator. Insulator is what? The substance which is poor conductor of heat or poor conductor of electricity, whereas metals are good conductor of heat and electricity. Now important characteristic we are discussing, that is malleability and ductility. Say what is malleability? We have to hammer a substance. Say for example, I am giving you piece of iron and a piece of this much crystal, size crystal of iodine, something deep violet or purple color crystal of iodine and a piece of iron. Hammer the both, you will get iodine is converted into powder, whereas iron will not convert into powder. If you forcefully hammer it, it can convert into thin sheet. Gold, best example, just heat it little bit and hammer out, you are getting that it is converted into thin sheet. So this property is called as malleability. That means we can hammer out and convert into sheet. So metals are showing very good malleability, whereas non-metals are not showing this malleability. Second, that is ductility. Duct means wire. So suppose this is the piece of metal, I am holding out at one place and stretching out. If I stretch out this metal, it will be converted into wire. But in case of piece of iodine, I am just holding one portion and stretching out. Only that portion will come with me. No wire of iodine is formed. So this way we are showing that metallic character is malleability and ductility. Whereas non-metallic character, they are not showing this type of malleability and ductility. Alright. Now next, that is acidic nature and basic nature of oxide. Keep in mind, when metals are forming oxide, the metallic oxides, when dissolved in water, they are showing basic nature. You are aware sodium is giving sodium oxide. If you dissolve that in water, it will form sodium hydroxide, which is well known alkali. We are calling that as caustic soda. If you dissolve if you make potassium to react with oxygen, it will form potassium oxide. And then if you dissolve that in water, not only potassium oxide, but here consider in water, it will form potassium hydroxide, which is also well known alkali, that is called as caustic potash. So like that, metallic oxides when dissolved in water produces alkali or basic solution, whereas when non-metallic oxides are dissolved in water, they are showing acidic character. Say for example sulfur, the oxide of sulfur, you are aware, SO2, sulfur dioxide, and another oxide is there, that is sulfur trioxide, SO3. If you dissolve SO2 or SO3 in water, it will form sulfurous and sulfuric acid. H2SO3 is sulfurous acid, H2SO4 is sulfuric acid. So either it will form sulfurous acid or sulfuric acid, both are name only, acid. So non-metallic oxide when dissolved in water, now let us check out carbon. Carbon is giving carbon dioxide. If carbon dioxide is dissolved in water, it is forming carbonic acid, that is H2CO3. So like that, various non-metallic oxides when dissolved in water, they are giving acidic nature. Now metals are showing a shiny surface. You are aware, we can immediately identify. Usually we are saying that there should be glitter, that is shining surface. So if shining surface is there, then that is giving us that is the characteristic of metal. So we are calling that as metallic luster, whereas non-metals are not showing this type of luster. So metals showing luster, non-metals showing not showing luster. Okay, let us check out again. I want to revise this all. I hope there must be pen and notebook in front of you. You must have written that. Just check out whatever I have discussed. If not written, try to write down. Number 1, tendency of atom to form positive ion by losing out electron, metallic character. Tendency of atom to acquire electron and form negative ion, non-metallic character. At room temperature, solid state, metallic character. At room temperature, solid or gaseous state, non-metallic character. Very high melting point and boiling point, metallic character. Low melting or boiling point, non-metallic character. Good conductor of heat and electricity, metallic character. Poor conductor of heat and electricity, non-metallic character. Oxides basic in nature, metallic character. Oxides acidic in nature, non-metallic character. Showing malleability and ductility, metallic character. Not showing malleability and ductility, non-metallic character. Showing metallic luster, metallic character. Metals are having very high densities, non-metals are usually having low densities. These are general important characteristic of metals and non-metals. One should not label a particular substance metal as only one or two characteristics are shown. What maximum characteristics are shown, that we have to check. Say for example, I have to label sodium, either metal or non-metal or metalloid. I should check sodium is having soft nature, metals should have hard nature. Non-metals are soft, metals are hard, sodium is soft. So it is not following that. Okay, one character not obeyed. Second character, very high melting point, whereas sodium is giving melting point as 80 degree, not obeyed. Alright. Third character, tendency of atom to lose electron and form positive ion. Yes, that is very well shown by this metal, sodium. So it is going to metal. So two characteristics showing of non-metal, one characteristic till date we discussed, that is showing, yes, metallic character. Then it is showing metallic luster. Yes, sodium is very nicely showing metallic luster. It is having electrical conductivity and thermal conductivity. Yes, it is showing good electrical and thermal conductivity. It is having very high density. No, sodium is having very low density. Again going towards non-metallic character. So three characters we are find out, that is non-metallic. But sodium oxide when dissolved in water, very good sodium hydroxide is formed, basic or alkaline nature, going again with metallic character. So like that, if you check out for every element what is the maximum character shown, if that is metallic, then we have to classify that as metallic substance. If maximum non-metallic, we have to classify it as non-metal. 50-50% metalloid. So here the trend in periodic table I have to discuss. Basically metallic characters are depending upon the ease with which it is forming positive ion. In order to get positive ion, these metals should lose out electron easily. That means tendency to lose electron is important, and obviously it depends upon IP value. As IP value is more, tendency to lose electron is less, and IP value is less, tendency to lose electron is more. So here as we move down the group, IP value decreases, therefore metallic character increases. So that's why in periodic table the lower sides, the lower periods, they are of metal, and upper side they are of non-metal. If you move across the period, IP value increases. As a result, tendency to donate electron decreases. As a result, non-metallic characters are increases, and that's why towards right side we are getting non-metals, towards left side we are getting metal, towards top side we are getting non-metal, towards bottom side we are getting metal. Check out hydrogen, non-metal, lithium, metallic character, till cesium metallic character increases, fluorine non-metal, chlorine non-metal, bromine non-metal, iodine showing somewhat metallic character, say iodine is showing somewhat luster. Iodine is having considerable high, actually it is sublimatory substance, but it survives till very high temperature at solid state. And like that, fluorine is gas, chlorine is gas, bromine liquid, but iodine solid. So like that, in that group, as we move down the group, metallic character increases. So like that, everywhere you will get towards bottom of periodic table more metallic character, towards top part of periodic table non-metallic character. This is general discussion about metallic character.